Look at this ship. This is the USS Carl Vinson. It costs $13 billion. It carries 5,000 American lives. And according to almost every military analyst I've spoken to in the last 5 years, this ship is already dead. Why? Because of one specific threat. I'm looking at the classified reports on China's A2AD strategy, anti-access area denial. They have built a kill box in the South China Sea. They have the DF-21D and the DF-26. These are land-based ballistic missiles designed for one purpose: to crack an American aircraft carrier in half from 2,000 miles away. So, the conventional wisdom says the US Navy is obsolete, that if they sail into this red zone, it's suicide. But I dug deeper into the wargame data, and I found a flaw in the Chinese strategy. Their missiles are fast, their radar is powerful, but they assume they can see the target. What happens when the attack comes from a ghost? Today, we are running a simulation that the Pentagon doesn't like to talk about. We are going to send the F-35C Stealth Fighters directly into the heart of the world's densest missile defense network. Welcome to the Silent Sea scenario. Before we launch the jets, you need to understand the stakes. This is a hypothetical scenario based on real technical capabilities expected in 2026. Here is the setup. Tensions over Taiwan have spiked. China has declared a maritime blockade. The US president orders the Navy to break it, but the admiral in charge has a problem. If he moves his aircraft carrier closer than 1,000 miles to the Chinese coast, he is inside the range of the carrier killer missiles. He can't risk the ship. So the carrier strike group parks here, way out in the Philippine Sea, deep blue water, safe. But how do you project power from that far away? The F-18 Super Hornet, the workhorse of the Navy, has a combat radius of about 500 miles. It literally can't reach the target and come back. It's too short-legged. And more importantly, it's not stealthy. On a modern radar, an F-18 looks like a flying barn door. This is where the F-35C comes in. It carries more fuel, it carries better sensors, and it is designed to be invisible. The mission is simple: penetrate the red zone, identify the missile batteries, and destroy them so the rest of the fleet can move in. Now I know what some of you are thinking in the comments. The F-35 is trash. It's too expensive. It can't dogfight. I used to think that too, but then I looked at the physics. We are using the C variant, the Charlie. This is the carrier version with massive wings for landing on a ship. But the magic isn't in the wings, it's in the skin. The radar cross-section, or RCS, of this plane is roughly the size of a golf ball. Think about that. To a Chinese radar operator scanning the sky, an F-18 looks like a truck. This thing, it looks like a glitch or a bird. But stealth isn't just about shape, it's about sensor fusion. I read the pilot manuals. In an old jet, you have to look at 5 different screens to see radar, heat, and navigation. In the F-35, the computer stitches it all together into one God's eye view inside the pilot's helmet. He looks through the floor of the plane and he sees the ocean. He looks at the horizon and he sees red boxes around enemy targets. In our scenario, this plane isn't a boxer, it's a sniper. And tonight, the sniper is going hunting. Let's start the clock. Hour 0. 4 F-35CS launch from the USS Carl Vinson. The moment their wheels leave the deck, they go EMCON silent. Emissions control. They turn off their radios. They turn off their active radar. They turn off their data links. They are essentially black holes in the sky. They climb to 30,000 feet and push into the South China Sea. Now put yourself in the cockpit. It's pitch black. You are flying at 600 miles per hour into the most heavily defended airspace on the planet. You know that down there on those artificial islands are HQ-9 surface-to-air missile batteries. These systems are deadly. They have a range of 120 miles. If they lock onto you, you have seconds to live. The pilots are relying on passive sensors. Instead of sending out a radar ping which reveals their location, the F-35 sucks in electronic signals. It sniffs the air. It detects the search radar of the Chinese destroyers. It detects the radio chatter of their bases. And the onboard computer starts to triangulate. Without the enemy knowing anyone is there, the F-35s are building a map of the battlefield. Here is the scary part. The Chinese radar operators might see something. Low-frequency radars can sometimes detect stealth planes as a vague blob, but detecting a blob is different from locking on. To fire a missile, you need a weapons-grade lock, and against the F-35, they just can't get it. But China isn't stupid. They know the Americans are coming. In our simulation, their low-frequency early warning radars pick up an anomaly, a disturbance in the noise. They don't know exactly what it is or where it is, but they know something is wrong, so they play their ace card. They scramble the Chengdu J-20, the mighty dragon. This is China's answer to the F-35. It's big, it's fast, and it carries heavy long-range missiles. Now, history changes. For the first time in aerial warfare, we have stealth versus stealth. This is a nightmare scenario for a pilot. In Top Gun, you see the enemy, you dogfight, you spin. In a stealth war, you see nothing. Both sides are invisible to radar. It becomes a game of who blinks first. The J-20s are using their IRSD infrared search and track, basically high-tech heat cameras trying to spot the engine heat of the American jets. The distance closes. 100 miles, 50 miles, 30 miles, still silence. Whoever turns on their radar first dies. Because the moment you turn on your radar, you become a flashlight in a dark room. Everyone sees you. And this is where the U.S. Navy's new doctrine wins the fight. It's called distributed lethality. The F-35 pilots see the J-20s first. Their sensors are just slightly better, slightly more sensitive. But the F-35s don't shoot. Why? Because if they open their weapons bay doors, they ruin their stealth profile for a few seconds. Instead, the lead F-35 sends a burst of encrypted data back to the fleet, 500 miles behind them. Target acquired, coordinates uploaded, and the destroyers, the USS Arleigh Burke-class ships loaded with SM-6 missiles, take the shot. The missiles fly hundreds of miles. The F-35 just guides them in. The Chinese J-20s never saw it coming. They are destroyed by missiles fired from a ship they couldn't even see. With the enemy air cover gone, the F-35s proceed to the main objective. They open their bays. They drop JDAMs on the radar sites. The Great Wall of sensors goes dark. The door is kicked open. The simulation ends with a U.S. tactical victory. The blockade is broken. The carrier strike group can move in, but I have to be honest with you. In our war game, it wasn't a clean sweep. We lost 2 F-35s, maybe more. China's ground-based lasers and hyperdense flak took a toll. Stealth makes you hard to see. It doesn't make you invincible. And remember, China has thousands of missiles. We have a limited number of jets if this war drags on for a month. The math starts to favor the side with more metal, not the side with better tech. The F-35 is an incredible machine. It's a technological marvel. But is it enough to win a war of attrition against an industrial superpower? That remains the biggest question mark. So here is my verdict. The carrier killer missiles are dangerous, but they are not a magic shield. With the right tactics and the right technology, the kill box can be broken, but the margin for error is zero. One pilot turns on his radar too early, he dies. One sensor fails, the mission fails. This is the future of war. It's not about who has the biggest muscles anymore. It's about who can stay invisible the longest. Now I want to hear your opinion. We spent billions developing the F-35. Based on this simulation, was it worth the money? Or should we have built thousands of cheap drones instead? Let me know in the comments below. If you want to see what happens when we simulate a tank battle in the mud of Eastern Europe, make sure you are subscribed. This is the War Game. Dismissed.